Hey guys, Scott Webb here with another episode of Cultivate. We are your ammunition for being the best you can, not only in sales, but if you're out trying to be an entrepreneur, doing the things it takes to build a sustainable business. We want you to tune in each and every week to our version of Cultivate and really trying to help you nurture, build, create something for yourself, for your family that's bigger than just an income. And that's what we do each and every week on Cultivate. And as you know, every week we bring in a guest to come in and chat with us about not only business, but what they're experiencing out in the marketplace, being, really setting themselves up for success as entrepreneurs. And I am so stoked. And maybe you guys even see some of the family resemblance, but this is my brother Carson, who came in from Nebraska. Carson, say hello to our audience.
How's it going? Yeah, I think once we start talking, you'll notice some of the resemblance for sure. I know that your wife and mine both say it immediately once we get together. So.
Right. And so our mom too as well. She'll be super stoked about this. So thanks for joining us this week.
Absolutely.
And look, I wish I could say I flew Carson in just for this. One day we'll be able to say that. But Carson comes from Nebraska. You're a business owner, father, obviously a brother, and one of the cool things that he just got through experiencing was a trip out to Tampa and some really awesome stuff out there. So we're going to talk about that with him. But first and foremost, again, thanks for joining us. Tell everyone, hey, why you're in Denver this week.
Yeah, got a chance to come out with my son to the Ed McCaffrey football camp. He is, that's his thing, is football, and he wants to get better, and he's motivated to do the work, and just really proud of the kid. Had a really cool opportunity to obviously be around some pro and college people, from Ed McCaffrey to Dylan McCaffrey, Ed's son, that's getting ready to go off to Michigan this year, I believe. Some other NFL players like Brandon Marshall, and also to get some really high quality instruction. Everybody in the world needs coaches, whether it's business people like us or whether it's, my 13-year-old son that wants to, be a starting high school football player someday.
Nice. So, but you come out to Colorado for other things too. What's kind of one of your biggest passions?
Yeah, two of the things I really do quite a bit out here. Obviously, I'm a whitewater kayaker. It's something I picked up, 10 or 12 years ago, something like that. Unfortunately, I live in a part of the country that isn't exactly known for whitewater, Nebraska. We do have a nonprofit group that we are working with to try to bring a whitewater park to our town. So we're trying to change that dynamic, I guess, a little bit. But right now, Colorado is where I come for that. And then, of course, I do a little bit of real estate investing out here as well, buying and selling mountain properties.
Nice. So there you have it. For those of you that think just being focused in business is all you have, Carson is living proof that you can have some sidebars and be successful in those too. So let's get down to one of the, like, you invited me out to do this event that you just got back from. Tell our viewers what you just went out to Tampa to do.
Yeah, we had the opportunity through our corporate partner, Ashley Furniture, to go to Tony Robbins' Business Mastery course. It's something I've wanted to do for many years. It's basically a 4 or 5 day full immersion. Tony believes in full immersion, and so you start at 8 o'clock in the morning, you finish at 9, 10 o'clock at night. It's 12 to 14 hours straight. They don't have a lunch break. They don't have bathroom breaks. If you have to leave, go ahead and do it. But he believes that the best way to learn is to go fully immerse yourself all out, all day, for as long as you can possibly stand. And it's kind of like learning a language. You can dabble in it for a long time and probably never get anywhere. A lot of people out there took Spanish class all 4 years in high school and can't put a sentence
Can't even
together.
order a burrito, right?
Absolutely. And so Tony's belief is that full immersion is the best way to learn. It's something I've wanted to do for many, many years and planned on doing, but this was a pretty unique opportunity to do it. And, I was hopeful that you'd be able to come out and do it with us as well. But we took our store managers and my business partner and went out there and, I don't want to exaggerate too much, but it's about the closest thing to a truly life-changing event that I've been able to partake in, and it was fantastic. It was everything I hoped it would be.
Yeah, obviously you're still glowing. So let me ask you from that, kind of that experience that that you had. Um, how do you? What will you apply from what you learned from Tony and that that time you spent out there in like overcoming some of your challenges operating your company?
Yeah, gosh, I'm, part of my job this week, as my son's been going to football camp, is going over my notes and retyping all those. I've probably got 45 pages of notes, something like that, and trying to consolidate that down into an action list. One of the things that Tony talks about is ideas are a dime a dozen. Execution is where everything is at, and I've got to narrow that down to that 3 to 5 things that are the most important, that are going to have the biggest impact on my life and my business and that sort of thing. So I would say the first and biggest thought or action item, combination there is Tony has 3 focuses: state, story, and strategy. So your state is this physiology that you have, how you carry yourself, how you approach, and he believes that your physiology controls your psychology. So
Okay.
if you have your body right and that sort of thing, that your psychology, your mind will come along for the ride. So
Okay.
so take care of your physiology first. Your story is all the things that you tell yourself. What are the beliefs that you tell yourself? I can't do this because I don't have an MBA, or it's a bad market this year, or people just aren't buying, or traffic is going down, or all these stories that we tell ourselves all
Right.
the time. Is such a limiting part of everybody's life. And then, of course, there's the strategy, which are the really specific tactics we're going to use to attack something. And one of the things I realized when I went to this event is that I spend 98% of my time thinking about strategy and not nearly enough time on state and story. And so the number one action item for me is to take control of my state. I have to prime myself and be in the right physiology and the right mindset 100% of the time. I can't afford to take a day off. I can't afford to be 70, 80, or 90%. I got to bring 100% of myself to every customer interaction, to every minute with my spouse and my children, and every minute of my day. I owe it to myself, and I owe it to the people around me. So
Yeah,
that's number one.
That's really cool. Yeah, I hear that a lot, and that's something that one of my challenges has always been is perfection gets in the way of progress. And so you fine tune and fine tune and fine tune and fine tune. At some point, you just have to roll it out. And even if it's a plan that inside that is just, it's not sound, or it's just not where it needs to be in your mind, the thing is that the people you're going to roll it out to have no idea. They think what you're rolling out is what, it could be perfect.
Right.
And so that was an understanding for me is, and that's really cool that you got that from Tony. But the state of mind is so huge. I mean, it's so big, regardless of what we do. So that kind of leads me to the next question. So, running a business, how many employees do you have?
We've got about 36, 37 employees. Obviously fluctuates seasonally, and by the way, we're growing too. Our revenue's growing at a pretty good rate, and I expect that'll change in a positive way going forward as well.
Yeah, but you know what? It's not 36 or 37. It's more than that, because you have a lot of mouths to feed. You got families and spouses, and maybe some aging parents in there that that are related to one of your employees. So it's a bigger family. So let me ask you, if you didn't have any budget restrictions, let's say capital was just easy to come by and you really didn't have to worry about budgets or, making sure that, hey, this quarter we have to wait till next quarter, remove all of that. Mm-hmm. What would you do with that money? Would it be in processes? Would it be in systems? Where would you spend, if you had unlimited capital, where would you spend it?
That's a fantastic question. Ultimately, I think it really comes down to processes, and I don't mean to put people second for sure, or tools. I don't believe that typically tools are the best investment. If you really believe in something and you know the why behind that strongly enough, you'll figure out the how. And that was again another thing from Tony that I just thought was phenomenal. Is he says billionaires don't worry about the how. They want to know what they want and they want to know why they want it. They're always going to figure out a how. If the first thing doesn't work, they'll go to the second. If that doesn't work, they'll go to the third. So, and people are extraordinarily important. We've built our business around making our company a great place to work, which we feel is really important. But it's the process behind that I think is the most important. If you design the processes that allow you to cultivate your people, if you design the processes that allow you to always be looking for a more resourceful way of doing things, if you design processes that allow you to adapt to change going forward, because so much of what people are concerned with is the fact that change is happening and it's always going to happen.
Right.
And, as an entrepreneur, as the ground we stand on is shifting sand. And so you can't build anything around an idea or a product and expect that that's going to last very long, right? Life cycle in some industries now is 6 months. From invention to flooding the market with commodity lookalikes.
Right.
So I think process more than anything. How do you create processes that are flexible going forward?
Yeah, no, that's really cool. So I'm going to ask you for what would one of those processes be? If you're going to write a check, what would one of those be? And it could be something that's so fanatical and fantastical that, that right now it's obviously maybe in your state of where your business is, you couldn't do that. But remember, we're in this world of no limit on capital. What would one of those processes be?
I would say that, in the long term, one of the processes I would like to see in my business, and I'm even thinking outside of the Ashley stores that we have, but just in general as an entrepreneur, one of those processes I want to have is something that's always looking for the next opportunity. What do people need? What are people willing to pay for? What's going to add the absolute maximum value for people? Because I think if you can find those things, the business itself will be created out of thin air. It's really about starting on that end of things, and all of the stuff that needs to come with it, whether it's products or people or processes, that stuff can fall into place pretty quickly and pretty easily once you can identify those opportunities. And certainly as a business owner, I don't have 5 or 10 hours a day to sit around and daydream about the future.
Cast.
Wouldn't that be great? I think we'd all love to.
That's why everyone has a magic 8 ball in one of their drawers, right?
Exactly. I think half of my business decisions come from either a coin flip or the magic 8 ball. So, if you look at really some of the truly great, enduring, successful people out there, Warren Buffett, for example, Mark Cuban, these guys spend a significant amount of their time, up to a quarter to a third of their day, every day, reading and identifying thoughts and ideas and projecting and trying to look around the corner. And the job of a leader really is to look around the corner and try to set, the sights on what the next thing is. And so I think a process for that could be made as well. Okay.
So maybe at some point you invest in an asset in your business where you have an individual, maybe that's their job, right? To kind of look ahead and report to you and help you look around that corner. So
absolutely,
whether that's an app or an individual or whatever. So
I think we all get a lot of ideas that could be researched, but we don't have the time.
Right.
Get me some data and I'll see if this is worth pursuing. I might have to look at 1,000 different ideas to come up with 100 that are worth digging further into. And maybe out of all of that, there's only 1 or 2 really good ideas that are worth pursuing. But, those are the sorts of things that as entrepreneurs, a lot of times we don't have the time for.
Right. Understood. All right. So that leads me to the next question. You're in the retail space. Where do you see your market in the next 3 to 5 years? And I think you shared with me one of the cool things while you were out in Florida. Mm-hmm. You were able to meet with another retailer that's doing some neat stuff. Yeah. Share with our audience what some of that stuff looks like.
Absolutely. Just in general, the concepts in our industry for retail are omni-channel is going to be where it's at, and what that means is in history. We would advertise or we would have a store or whatever it is, and the customer has to come to us and do things on our terms. Mm-hmm. And the roles have reversed now. The customer gets to decide where they want to talk to us, when they want to talk to us, how long we talk, what information they get, and that's the way it has to be. That's the way things are moving going forward. So on all platforms, we have to be speaking to them. We have to be there when they want us, okay? It could 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, okay? And so when you look at some of the really neat things that are out there. Some of this stuff is already taking place in some retail stores. Some of it's a little bit farther down the road, but I kind of picked out 3 that I think are just fascinating stuff. The first one is cloud tags and dynamic pricing. It's basically an electronic price tag, and much like Amazon does right now online already, you can change your prices, 2, 3, 5, 25 times a day based on competitive pricing or
right.
what else is happening out there in the marketplace. These are happening in retail stores right now. The other thing, or the other couple of the other things, augmented reality and virtual reality. So, in our industry, for example, a customer could take pictures with a 3D camera, which I understand in the next Samsung phone will be built in.
Sure.
You can take 3D pictures of your home and download essentially a replica of that sofa and put it in your home and look at it in almost real life, in real scale. You can move it around the room, put it in different
slide
places.
it next to the fireplace, move it over by the piano.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The number one thing that our delivery guys hear when they show up is, holy cow, that didn't look that big in the store. And, so we can eliminate that. And not only that, create such a better customer experience, because we want them to know exactly how it's going to look in the room. And the second thing is, when they come in the store and look at all this stuff just decorated to the nines, and then they go buy that one sofa and put it in the room, and it just doesn't look quite as good.
Right.
Well, we can show them, what if we were to add this package of art and rugs and lamps and all the other things.
A throw pillow even.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What if we were to be able to put that on in their room in real time with the picture hanging behind the sofa, and stuff like that? So another really cool idea. The next thing is just and this kind of ties into that idea of being there all the time, is, CRM and big data is going to drive everything about what we do and about what customers get. So, as you walk into a retailer now, and there's some retailers already using this stuff, but there's a lot more development yet to go. It can pick up the MAC address off of any electronic device that you have, whether it's a phone or your Fitbit or anything else, and track you around the store, paying attention to what you look at. If you opt in via an email or something along that line, it can throw suggestions or
push
coupons.
Notification, yeah.
Absolutely, all of that kind of stuff to you. By the way, but once that MAC address gets recorded, then they can see which stores you've shopped. And if you use your email as a login, seriously, you could see of the 3 Chicago stores this one customer's been in. But then, also using that email as the identifier, they can see that you also went home and looked at that bedroom set 3 more times at home, and try to make a better experience for you, either by offering you coupons or offers based on that, or having our salespeople very well prepared when you come back in the store to have an awesome experience.
Have a conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's so wild. And you think about like all this stuff, so Big Brotherish, feeling, but even from a consumer standpoint, if you are able to just like rely on some of this technology, and instead of like buying the couch that you thought was $1,000, and then because you're like, I didn't have time to check the other store, and the other store sent you an offer saying, hey, come check out that same exact model, and we'll do it for $899. Because that's how many times I kick myself. I'm like, I should have just ran to the other sporting goods store to see if it was cheaper, but we don't. And then you go into that sporting goods store and you're like, oh, that was $200 cheaper, man. So I can see how, even from a consumer standpoint, we would want something like that. All right, so that's really cool. I love getting that from, when we do our interviews from our, our entrepreneurs and our business owners, that, what does their world look like? And, it's just, there's just so much opportunity out there. What are you choosing to take advantage of, to build something? And we have a saying here at the farm, which is, if you wish things were the old way, that's just being naive. If you still act and operate like things are the old way, that's dangerous. And that means you're not prepared for and it's not even about like, hey, we're trying to promote what we do. It's your customer that's dictating this. It's not these other outside forces and social media and, these channels, right? It's your customer going, this is how we want to do business. Yep. And so you have to kind of be there to meet them.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many things, in the last 10 years, with what we've seen from our ability to follow up with customers using CRM systems, to our ability to respond to the customer better using technologies like Dispatch Track, where we have digital paperwork. We can take pictures of damage to furniture or homes or customer service issues right in the home, and people back at the home office can be looking at that even before the drivers get to the next stop. So there's a lot of things that are changing in our business. Like we were talking about just a minute ago, with the customer really driving all of these changes. This is a special time in our history because for the first time, it's the customer that has more information and better resources than what the seller does. And this is a role reversal from, probably all of history, and certainly in the last 50 years for sure. And I think it's an exciting time. We're seeing even in the furniture industry, even going back 10 years, the manufacturer comes out with 10 styles. They show it to the dealers. The dealers pick 3 of those styles as what they think are going to be hot. Right. They roll them out to the customers, and at least 2 out of the 3, if not more than 2 out of the 3, are failures because the customers don't respond to that. So much like lean startup or some of these other ideas where you let the customer decide and you iterate multiple times, they're taking some of this stuff directly to the web to get feedback from the people who are going to buy it before they go through the manufacturing process.
Yeah, so they show the 10 to the audience.
Absolutely.
They're the potential audience versus the dealer.
No question.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're working on a process where the customer, instead of having the choice of picking from the few products that are left over after they've filtered through multiple channels of non-buyers, by the way, right? The customer gets to start giving their input at the top of the food chain, so that by the time that product makes it to market, in a lot of ways, we already know it's going to be successful because the people who are spending the money on it are the ones who get to decide.
Right. Wow, that's epic. All right, so that's some really good advice. In fact, we'll probably pull out a couple pieces of that and put that out on social, because that's huge. So I'm a huge book reader. You saw my stack of books. I buy 4 or 5 new business books a week, and we actually have a kind of a book club that we sponsor, and starting to do reviews and stuff. So tell me, what is like on either in your Kindle or iPad, or even like maybe people watching don't even know what the physical book. It's kind of got paper and a cover. I like them both. But what are you reading right now? Anything?
I'm reading a book called High Output Management right now. It's a book that was actually written, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think written about 15 or 20 years ago, and then actually went out of print, but became pretty popular amongst the Silicon Valley crowd. And so they're reproducing it again. And,
awesome.
Some pretty great guys out there consider it one of the best management books out there. So a lot of what I focus on is probably different than what you do as an entrepreneur, startup guy. I'm working with a mature business in a mature industry. So a lot of what I focus on is, team development, organizational health, things along that line. But if I had to throw out a couple books for somebody else that was going to enter the space that I'm in right now, Scaling Up by Vern Harnish is the biggest home run of all time when it comes to how to start and run a business. It's essentially the boiled down knowledge and wisdom from probably a couple hundred of the best business books of all time. And
wow.
Vern Harnish is the founder of Entrepreneurs Organization, which is a worldwide organization of entrepreneurs and high-level CEOs and stuff like that. And he runs a business coaching company called Gazelles. Really incredible book. The second one is one that we stumbled across 10 or 12 years ago in our business, probably. It's called Setting the Table by Danny Meyer, who is a restaurateur out of New York.
Okay.
And it's a story about his upbringing and success in business, opening multiple restaurants. But it has got the best wisdom from overcoming adversity to growth mindset, to how to manage people, to how to make your business a great place to work and your customers happy.
Sure.
It's something that we continue. We have 3 kind of pillars of our business, and we consider that book one of the pillars. We make all of our employees read it at least once every other year.
Nice.
And every single time I go through it, I kick myself because I haven't executed enough of the ideas out of that book. So,
and what's the name of the book?
It's called Setting the Table.
Setting the Table, yep. Danny Meyer.
Right.
We're going to make sure those are in the notes below the podcast and video here out on YouTube. So if you're interested in those books that Carson's reading, we'll make sure we give you the titles and the links to go get those. So that's awesome. So until you write your book, okay, what is the single biggest piece of advice that you can give our audience that can help them not only conquer it in the entrepreneurial world, go out and be a better sales professional, hell, go out and be a better human? What's that one piece of advice?
That's a great question. I'd really like to give something very specific, but like I mentioned earlier, most of my life has been too focused on strategy and not enough on the story and the state stuff. And so, if there was one piece of advice I would have, it ties together some information I've seen out there from writers like Stephen Pressfield or guys like Grant Cardone that you and I both follow, and that is, go pro, man. Why are we doing this? If you're not going 100%, if you're not putting everything you got, why would you teach yourself to go 70, 80, or 90% on anything? Turn pro. And I know a lot of guys or a lot of people show up every day and feel like they're working hard and they're tired at the end of the day. And at the end of the year, they feel like maybe they did or didn't get what they deserve. But I think we all, and I'm not preaching to anybody, I think this is something I need to spend more time thinking about and recognizing too. If you're going to change, you need to wake up to the reality of what actually is right now.
Right.
So I think it's just really a matter of asking yourself a series of questions. What time are you getting up in the morning? What books are you reading? What mentors are you pursuing? What is your offer really that unique? I talk to so many people, whether they're salespeople or business owners or everything, that think they're doing so well, that think their offer is so differentiated in the marketplace, but from 10 feet away, it looks like everybody else, man.
Yeah.
And if you're going to outperform other people doing exactly the same thing, you're really not going to get any true results. You have to separate yourself somehow. And I think designing your life, waking up every morning and going, how do I want this day to unfold? I need to spend X amount of time studying and learning and reading, and I'm going to have this many contacts, and I'm going to make this many offers or whatever it is, down to, what time am I spending with my family and how do I want that to go? How much time am I spending with my kids? I think every bit of that needs to be approached with the same type of diligence that you would if you were an NFL player trying to make a team or trying to take them to the Super Bowl. And so, go pro.
Go pro. Advice. Love it. Oh my gosh, dude, that's awesome. I think we're going to see a new line of T-shirts coming out from the farm, and we'll do that, and we'll put GoPro, Carson Rao on that. So give you full credit, brother.
All right, appreciate it.
Awesome. Hey, that just falls into, and I just want to add just really quickly onto that. We have clients that went to school to be what they are. Whether that's cosmetology, whether that's a law degree, whether that's going out and spending 4 years, learning, whatever their craft is. And I asked them, what did you go through to learn the craft that you now in turn charge money for? And they'll tell me. And it's amazing how in those 4 years, they'll have spent thousands of hours learning their craft, but now that they're applying it and they're trying to make money from it, apply just a small percentage of that. And I asked them, go to school to do your job. Meaning go out every single day, and the amount of commitment you took to learn your craft is what you put into presenting your craft, selling your craft, getting people to buy into your craft. And if you're not doing that, there's probably a reason why you might be struggling. So I think your piece of advice is much more sound because it really gives that level of that image, what a true professional is. And we have a visual that we've shown in our past videos of a dancer that is good, entertaining, but then you show a professional ballet dancer and you look at their feet. I mean, their toes are almost deformed. It's, the calluses and the bruises and the scrapes and all of that. But they're the ones that go out and perform in front of tens of thousands of people and make a really good living doing it. Yeah. And so it's so good. Go pro. That's probably some of the best advice I've heard on our show. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. This has been an extended version of Cultivate. We'll make sure this is out in podcast form on Stitcher as well as iTunes. You can follow us right on our Facebook page, which is The Farm Brand, and of course the website, thefarmsyndicate.com. But tune in each and every week to Cultivate, where we're going to teach you and show you the things you need to be doing to be a better professional, be really good at your job, and be a great human. So until we see you guys next week, thanks for watching. Make sure you share this episode. Make sure that you subscribe. We can use all the subscribers that we can get. And if there's some comments, you got something where, hey, we're missing a point, we're not hitting our stride on giving you some really good advice, man, make sure you leave your comments. We'll take them all, negative and positive. But love you guys. Make sure that you remember, business is a popularity contest. Go out and be popular. Carson, thanks, buddy.
Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Hey, we'll see you guys next week. Take care. Done.